Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Make It Make, where I always try to encourage you guys, if you can't get it to make, then make it make. And today we are here with my friend, my dearest friend, Melissa, and she's going to be talking to us about canning. All right, so we're back now. Again, this is my friend Melissa, and I've known, how long have we known each other, actually? It's been a couple years, more than a couple years now.
3 at least, probably.
Really? Just 3? Feels like forever. So she just let me randomly call her and ask her if I can come to her house and invade her pantry. But I was like, this is a really important interview, I feel, just because, you know, we've been talking a lot about water bath canning, and Melissa has grown up with that in her culture. She does come from a Mennonite background, and I just thought it'd be nice to just talk to somebody who's been doing it pretty much her whole life. Do you want to tell me just pretty much? Have you pressure canned anything?
Not personally. My mom has.
Your mom has?
Like when I lived at home, she
Okay.
would, but she kind of was in charge of that part.
Okay. Do you want to tell us maybe a little bit about like your upbringing, whatever?
Sure. Well, I'm the oldest of 14, so being the oldest, food responsibilities often fell to me a lot. There was a lot of gardening, a lot of canning, and the thing that I loved about being in a big family is people were hungry all the time, and if you messed something up when you were cooking, they'd still eat it, usually in my house, because it was like if you were late to the table, you might miss out on food. So my mom over the years got pretty good about saving food for people, but food was just such a huge part of our life. I also grew up on a dairy farm, and so garden, farm, canning, it was like what we did all summer.
Now, I actually, guys, the camp chef that you see in my video, especially the one with the Amish canner, that idea came to me because of one of Melissa's posts, because you guys were at a friend's house, right? I think canning chicken. Do you remember that? You guys were canning chicken, and it was through water bath. And anyway, I just think it's great because the whole setup, I have it, you know, from looking at Melissa's posts. So you were at a friend's house, right?
I don't remember. I learned from my sister-in-laws.
Okay.
So the crazy thing is, even growing up Mennonite and with the background that I had, I married somebody from Amish background. And most people kind of lump that together, Mennonite and Amish together. But to those of us who live in these communities, they also can be very different. And so my mom actually never canned chicken or meat, that in my memory. If she did, I'm sure she pressure canned it. But when I got married and started hanging out with my sister-in-laws, they were the ones who would can turkey and chicken. So I went and worked with them, which is the best way to learn, and learned how to do it for myself.
Through the water bath. They
yes,
canned it.
Through the water bath.
So your mom did it through pressure canning.
If at all.
Okay.
I hardly remember any meat. She mostly did fruits and vegetables.
Now, when you did can the chicken through water bath, was it with the bone?
No.
No, was not.
No.
Okay. And do you remember how long you water bathed it for? I know this was like forever ago. I'm so sorry.
Well, I'm pretty sure it's 3 hours, 3 or 4.
Okay.
It's a long time.
That's what the standard usually is.
Yeah, which is why it can be so helpful if you're doing meat to have a large cooker, because it takes such a long time, and it's not like you can just crank through a batch every hour or 2.
Yeah. So you grew up primarily, well, no, you said your mother pressure canned things.
Yeah, and I kind of feel like she was a first generation canner, although I'm not 100% sure of that. My mom only had one brother, and so having 14 children, all single births, it was a big part of her story and learning how to do food. But my mom was much more like by the book in her canning. Like she would bring her guides out and look exactly for different things. And of course she had the pressure canner. And then when I got married, I just I didn't have the pressure canner, and when I started seeing more like some of the things that the Amish did with it and how they were much more free, I was like, oh, you know, how can it be if we have these books with all these rules about how it has to be done, and yet I see people who are not following the rules and they're canning and they're getting good seals. And so I remember one time though, early when I was first married, canning pumpkin, and it was like a puree, and then I started I was like, oh, I'll be fine. And then I started researching it and I got so freaked out. I dumped the whole thing out. And now I'm like, I don't think I would have done that, but it's the journey of learning confidence in what you do yourself. And like I said, learning from other people, because when you can talk to other people who do it differently, I don't know if I should say this or not. Because some of the Amish women I know even will can in their ovens. No water bath. Have you heard that?
Yeah, I've heard of oven canning. I have, yes, and that's okay. You could say that. I mean,
that's a whole different thing.
It is a whole different thing.
You know, I might not feel comfortable with it, or you might not feel comfortable with it, but there's people that are doing it and eating the food and living.
Yeah. So, I mean, have you heard of neckline canning?
Nope.
No, it's when you take a jar. Well, let's take one of your nice full jars here. You take a jar and you fill the water only up to the neck. You would not submerge the whole jar in water. Okay. And my one friend, Teresa, this is the method that she does all the time. She's only ever filled up her jars up to the neck.
Wow.
And I was just like, well, let's give it a name. Let's call it neckline canning. And I asked her why she did that. And I don't know if I'll still be able to get an interview with her. If I do, then we can mesh these together. But what she said was that she found that she had less siphoning issues in doing that. And she said she was taught, the way she was taught was that to make sure that the water just covered the food. And then when I asked Susie, my Amish friend, she said when she does it in the Amish canner, she puts her quarts in, and she said now that goes up to the neck. The water for the quarts goes up to the neck. But then she said she'll take her quarts out, put her pints in, and those jars would be submerged. You know, so so she said, so I mean, she's like, I do a little bit of both. I do a little bit of neckline, and I do a little bit of having them submerged as well. But they all seem to have the exact same results. And that's like one of the biggest no-nos. Like even me, in my mind, where you said you threw out all the pumpkin, and I'm like, but I struggle with the whole why not have your jars completely submerged in the water. But then I'm kind of thinking, well, I mean, there's so many people who have successfully done these methods. It's just, I think, getting over that fear that is just so ingrained.
Well, it's really about getting the internal temperature, I think, of the jar. And so if you can, I guess you can still get that up with neckline canning. I mean, to me, I'm kind of like, well, if you have it in water bath anyway, then why not just cover it? But at the same time,
she just has always done it like that. Like she'd never, I remember coming to her house, she would have the 2 burner on the cement, and I'm like, you don't cover your jars? And she's like, oh no, I've always just ever filled it up to the neck. She's like, we've just always done it like that. And I was like, oh, so maybe I can get her on here and ask her about that.
That'd be really interesting.
Do you have any favorite memories about canning, or were you just like, oh, I don't want to do it, it's such a task?
I think honestly, as a teenager, it felt more like a drag. I didn't value it for sure. And it's been kind of funny because over the last, couple of years, and I started appreciating it more when I got married, especially when I had children. And I have 5 kids now, but in the last couple of years, like homesteading and canning has really become more of like the rage. And I'm like, this is what I grew up with, but like I said, I didn't appreciate it at the time. And I think it makes all the difference in the world when you have children to feed, and knowing that you can do that year round and with products that were with fruits and vegetables or whatever that you know how it was raised or grown. So
you know where it came from. You know it's good food.
Yeah, and you can also make sure it's local too. It's a way of preserving what's local, and you know nowadays with the cost of gas, when you're doing it so much of it at home, you don't have to worry about it. So I will say one thing that trick I kind of learned from my mother-in-law that I started implementing into how I can is to try to do enough for 2 years at a time.
Oh my gosh, okay.
I don't even know if there's a USDA suggestion for how long canned foods are good. Honestly, my pantry here is in a dark place, so that's not getting sunlight. But now that I think about it, when we were at our second house, we didn't have a basement, so my husband built shelves like this in the garage, and you know we were constantly opening the garage door, so they would have been subject to light. But anyway,
but not like a ton of light though, constantly.
Right.
Yeah.
I kind of just as far as whether I'll use something or not, if it goes discolored, or if the seal becomes undone, I'll dump it out, or if there's mold on top. But the thing I was telling you about, like for example, applesauce is something that it's sticky and it feels like it takes a lot of work. So I usually do about 100 quarts of applesauce at a time. And that has lasted about 2 years.
Oh, that's good.
So then I only have to do it every other year. And I feel like it saves time and effort and money to be able to do it all at once for me, you know, and kind of same way with chicken. When I did chicken, I did enough to last for, in my mind, I'm planning like I'm going to do enough to last for 2 years. So then I can kind of rotate. This year I'm going to do this and this and this.
It
and
opens
next year,
up the canning schedule too, to do other things.
Yeah.
Did you say you had chicken here?
This is the chicken right here.
Okay. Can we show your chicken?
Yeah.
And did you pressure can this or did you water bath this?
This was water bathed. It is boneless, skinless chicken breast. This is at least 2 years old.
And you would still eat this?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. We
Absolutely.
just had some the other night.
Now, did you put water in it, or was it just the plain, just like loosely boneless, skinless chicken? Did you add any water to it or anything like that, or just the chicken?
I don't think I did. Now I can hardly remember. I do know I add salt and pepper.
Okay.
So there's a little salt and pepper. If you see like black on the top, that's what that is. It's the salt and pepper. But it makes it so easy to, you don't have to defrost it, you know.
What would you make with this?
I make chicken dip.
Oh.
I make chicken like a kind of like a sloppy Joe, but a chicken version. I put it in chicken eddy with pasta or rice.
Okay.
Because it's my go-to when I don't have time, or like everybody's hungry and I, for whatever reason, don't have a plan. And so it's very easy to pull out. I know my grandma actually, she would can beef. And I haven't canned beef yet, but she said when she would use it for her Sunday company. So like if she went to church and found out that there was people there that she wanted to invite home, she would come home, do it, you know, just heat it up on the stove, and people would rave about it because of how soft it was. I think she did beef cubes, but again, like she passed away before I really started canning a whole lot. So sometimes I wish I could go back and ask her about what she did.
There's so many people on my channel that will say that. They're just like, oh, I so wish that I would have spoken to my grandmother or the person that taught me, because now some of these traditions are lost. And that's what I just want to try to bring back to people, are just these older, methods and recipes and that actually have worked. Now, I just have to ask, did she water bath or pressure can her meat? I mean, the beef.
Well, see, I don't even remember that.
Okay.
I just remember that she would can beef. I know she had water bath because I got it from her.
Okay.
I got when she was like downsizing. Okay. She gave me one of her big kettles. But I don't know if she pressure canned or not. Okay. She would do pears, peaches, red beets. My mom did corn once, sweet corn.
Really?
It really changes the consistency and texture of the corn when you can it.
Yeah,
so,
that's why I'm huge on freezing. I'm huge on freezing corn.
Yeah.
Do you freeze your corn?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just one year my mom was like, let's give it a try. And we were all like, this tastes so different. It's like a totally different product. Like a totally different vegetable. Almost.
But some people love it canned. Like I have a friend that she cans all her corn. All her corn is canned. And she just loves it that way. But I'm just like, I'd rather it frozen. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think it's like if you would go to the store and buy canned corn in a metal can, that's kind of more what the taste is.
Okay.
I don't know.
I've never home canned corn before. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Just
interesting.
At the store. Okay, so if you don't mind, can we take a tour of your pantry? Now, I know I'll speak for her. The canning season is still...
I was just going to say that. I said, I feel like I don't have much on my shelves right now because to me, the canning season starts like mid-July and goes through end of September, October. And honestly, I have so many empty jars on my shelf right now because this is my year to do applesauce, and I'm down to like 2 or no jars, actually, I think maybe.
I don't know if I saw a jar.
So all these empty jars here is usually where I keep the applesauce. And another thing I'll say about canning applesauce is I love to do it when it's cold outside. Because, in the summer, we're always sweating so much, and canning is a hot labor's chore.
Yeah.
But if you wait and do it like October, November, I've even done it December or January, then you're like, well, I'm already heating up the house, so it's adding to the heat. We're not paying extra for that. Yeah. And it just felt like a more fun thing to do when it was cold. However, this year, because I'm totally out, I probably am not going to wait too long. I'll probably do... I think 7 or 8 bushels usually gets me about 100 quart.
Really? Do you have the machine, like a motorized machine, or are you guys rototill, kind of doing the mill?
Well, I have the Victoria strainer, but my guys figured out a way to hook up a power tool.
That's what I'm totally doing this year. The drill?
Yes, for the applesauce to make it easy.
That's what I'm totally doing this year.
Yeah.
I want to do that with my tomato sauce, but I have to get someone to press the drill. So I'll find somebody to do that.
I should tell you how my shortcut to tomato sauce. I don't know if I told you this before. No. I do not put it through a strainer.
No?
No, because I put it in my blender. I have a good blender. Oh. It's a Bosch blender, but I figure... I'm adding puree to it already to make it thicker. And I just kind of wanted to eliminate that step. Mm-hmm. So I tried it one year and it worked. It's not as smooth of a sauce, but it works for us. And
skin's on.
Skin's on.
Okay.
I figure it adds fiber and seeds in it. That's how I do everything now. If I'm doing, even if I'll just do juice, like just can the straight juice, or if I'm doing... a pizza sauce, I leave the skins on. It goes so much faster.
I did a video of how to, sorry, let me just start all over here. The step where you say that you put in the blender, I've never done that. That's a really good idea, though. I have left the skins on because, again, another step I just didn't want to take. I do have a video on that, but I remember people saying, oh my gosh, you cannot leave the skins on, like you shouldn't. But then I did a lot of research, and it's a preference thing. Mm-hmm. It really is all about preference.
The smooth, how smooth you want your
right. And some people say that they can actually taste the difference. Like some people say that it's a little bitter. I personally don't. It doesn't do anything. I don't taste.
I haven't noticed the taste difference either.
Yeah, I haven't noticed that. But it is I try to scrub them really hard.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really want to make a really good tomato sauce this year, so I'm hoping for good results. I don't have a really good blender. It keeps getting stuck. Well,
I'm sure that makes a difference because my blender, it gets things really fine. Okay. Of course, we wash the produce, we take the core out. But then if it's a big tomato, we'll put it in half or quarters. But we just throw everything in there. I throw my peppers in there, my onions in there.
Cooked or
uncooked?
Uncooked, and then you cook it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. And I do have a pizza sauce recipe that I really like. Now, I can give it to you, but some people differentiate. It's technically a pizza sauce recipe, but I use the same sauce for pizza and spaghetti.
Okay.
Some people differentiate in those sauces.
No, I like that. I'll have to put it in the description if this video actually makes it to YouTube, because we're actually recording on Melissa's phone and not mine. So I don't know how I'm going to get this content to you guys. I hope that I can, but so if it's here, this is good.
Okay, my pantry tour. Starting with, this is the pizza sauce I was talking about.
Can we see it up close?
Yep. Seeds in and everything. I can't see what it looks like on the camera, but
it looks really good.
What was I going to say about this? Oh, my other thing with tomatoes, a little tip, as they're coming in off the garden, I put them in gallon bags and freeze them whole. And then when it's time to make the sauce, I can grab like 3 or 4 gallon bags out of the freezer and, of course, put them all in the blender and do the process I was talking about yet. But I felt like it saved me so much time and I was able to do larger batches. Again, time is a big deal when you have 5 kids and you homeschool. So that's how I do tomatoes. These are chunks, just chunks.
Like you're diced?
Yes, okay. Diced. That's the word. It's got salt and lemon juice in. Here we have ketchup.
How'd that come out?
I think it's Mrs. Wages.
Is that good?
I like it. It doesn't taste like Heinz ketchup, obviously, but I use it on like meatloaf or meatballs, like as an alternative to a barbecue sauce.
Okay.
So
I'll have to try that. I was looking at that the other day at one of the Benton Dent stores.
Okay.
The Mrs. Wages ketchup, and I'm like, I don't know. I keep looking at it, but never buy it.
This is salsa, and again, this is Mrs. Wages salsa.
Okay.
I go back and forth with whether or not I use Mrs. Wages or not. Some days I love it, and some days I don't.
I know. I use her for the salsa too.
But I found some packets, and I was like, I'm not going to get this made if I don't have this, and it just feels like it makes it easy sometimes in the middle of canning season and summer when the kids are home and everything. So here we got peaches. My mom would usually do 50. These don't look the greatest. Oh, maybe this one. My mom would do 50-60 quarts of peaches every year. My grandma would do a lot. When my dad would come home from school, she would open a jar of peaches for snack for them.
Aww.
But I don't love peaches. It's a hot, sticky mess to me. So I usually just do a few at a time, not as many. Chicken, again, I did like 30 or 40 quarts when I first started this, and now I'm down to 6 or 7, so not a ton. Pickled red beets. These are pretty old, but they don't look too bad. My family's not a huge fan of red beets, so I don't do them very often. Okay. Green beans from my garden last year. These I did water bath.
Okay, so can you tell me how you water bath your green beans? If you can remember.
Well, you put the green beans in, you put some salt in, put some water, put the ring on.
No vinegar?
No, did not do vinegar. It's just a long time. I think it's 3 hours.
3 hours, right? Yeah. That's
so we prefer frozen green beans, but it's nice to have them in a jar sometimes. I feel like it really changes the flavor too.
Okay.
Then we got strawberry jelly. Did this for the first this year.
Let me ask you something. That looks like a reused jar with a lid. What kind of a jar, or what was in that jar before? If you don't mind me asking.
Well, I don't even know. This was, it says organic Mayura. I don't even know. I have this one. This has an olive lid on it. This is kind of a newer thing for me in canning. Again, my mom would never reuse canning lids. And that's something I think that's taboo. But then I got married, and one of my sister-in-laws, she would reuse canning lids on the regular. So I was like, okay, this is interesting. And then I learned that you can use lids like this because my husband actually worked in a local canning shop where they would make like little Amish recipes and put them in the can. And they use lids like that. So I don't know. Do you have a video about this?
Well, yeah, I was just talking about this man that I met, Daryl. He has a blog, and he specifically has a whole article. Sorry, he has 2 articles on how to use reuse jars with its existing lids,
Okay.
whether it's through water bath or pressure canning. Okay. And so I'm just learning about it now too. But when I saw that, I was just like, ooh, tell me about that and how that the Amish do reuse jars and lids a lot, I've noticed.
Mm-hmm. Well, one thing I found when I started reusing jars is, in your traditional kettle that holds 7 jars, in your traditional water bath kettle, it's harder to use reuse jars because they're all weird shapes.
Yeah.
And I have some bigger jars like this, and here you can tell the lid is not sealed. This one doesn't pop in the middle, so it is sealed. But to use a jar like this, I have to use my big canner.
Yeah.
So I might use some of those jars for applesauce.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if I run out of my mason or ball jars. I do have a lot of them. But we got sweet zucchini relish here. My mom did not do a ton of this growing up, but my husband likes zucchini sweet relish on his hamburgers, so make that for him. Then we've got dill pickles. This is from the More with Less cookbook. My mom always made this recipe growing up, and it became a family favorite, so we always do it. Although I will say,
what's the cookbook called?
It's called More with Less.
More with Less.
Mm-hmm. It's a Mennonite cookbook.
Can we actually get a hold of this Mennonite cookbook? It's
yeah.
been so hard to share this with my audience on what books, because it's. Do you actually think I can get it online?
Yeah,
really?
I mean, it's still printed. I'll have to find and see if it's online. I mean, I know it's locally. I know it's still in print because my edition isn't that old.
Oh, I so hope so.
But in the dill pickle recipe, I do not put the grape leaves in just because I don't have them. And I usually don't put the pepper in. I think it calls for like a little bit of red pepper flakes.
Okay.
I do the garlic, the dill, the onion.
Can I see it up close again, please?
And the pickles.
That's
and
really good.
We love pickles so much. I usually like to do 30, 40 quarts a year. And that is something, because it's so easy to can pickles, in my opinion, that I do usually do every year.
Now, what do you do to your pickles to get them nice and crisp?
Well, I think the biggest thing is not over canning them.
Okay.
This recipe says, once it comes to a boil, 5 minutes.
Okay.
So it's not long at all. And it's easy to overdo that if you get busy or not watching it. And that is definitely one thing. Although the other secret to crisp pickles is doing refrigerator pickles. Okay. So sometimes I'll keep the brine once I eat these pickles. And then I will just slice some fresh pickles, stick them back there with the brine, and put it in my fridge for a couple weeks. Okay. So usually the issue is refrigerator space. Don't have enough refrigerator space to do a lot of quarts like this. Okay. But it's a really fun way to do pickles, especially over the summer if you're eating them up as you go. Mm-hmm. And they're fresh and crispy. And I've also done this with Mrs. Wage's brine too. Mm-hmm. Like I sometimes will make a Mrs. Wage's pickle. I really love her kosher dill, which tastes a little different than this. Mm-hmm. And then, like I said, once the pickles are eaten out of it, we just put fresh cucumbers in there and let it sit for a couple of weeks. A couple days actually is good enough. That's really resourceful. The longer you let it in there, the stronger the pickle flavor becomes. Okay. I've even done it 2 days and then eaten them. This recipe tells you not to eat them for 2 weeks, I think. Okay. Until afterwards. So this is a zucchini relish. And I wanted something dill because I love dill so much. I don't like the sweet zucchini relish. And last year my garden was so full. You can see the differences. So full of zucchini. I had all this extra zucchini and I was like, I need to figure out a recipe to make a sour dilly relish. So I did. It's kind of like pickles, but without the pickle shape. Mm-hmm. And don't ask me what I did, though. I have no memory. It's not fair. I need you to remember. Now, I mean, it tastes good on sandwiches and things like that? Yeah. Okay. Definitely. Sandwiches, burgers, hot dogs, that kind of thing.
Sounds so good.
Here we have more green beans. These we left long because these are more, this is what I would call like a pickled green bean.
Wait, was I here when your son did those? Is that the one?
You might have.
I think I was.
It's a little bit more time intensive, which is why I don't do a whole lot of it, because you have to put all the long green beans in the jars. Who's got time for that? Not this lady. But my son, my detailed son, likes to do this sometimes. And so this is like, we would eat these.
They look so good.
We would not eat these hot. This would not be like a part of a meal in a hot dish kind of way.
Okay.
These are eaten cold, like with a sandwich, like a pickle would be.
Okay.
Or as a side dish to a sandwich.
I like that.
Oh, and then I got more pickles here. I think these are from last year and the other ones were from this year. So yeah, the applesauce, this is, can go 4 deep on this shelf. My husband made me these shelves when we moved in here. And that's going to be the other big thing that will go in here. I have so much tomato, which you can see I have 2 shelves here of tomato products, that I'm not sure that I'm going to do any this year. But the reality is, if my garden produces a lot of tomatoes, I'm not going to throw them out. And so though I will stick them in gallon bags in the freezer, and after, you know, maybe October or November, when the weather cools down a little bit, I'll make a big pot of tomato sauce and end up canning some. So I'm finding we're just not going through that stuff quite as fast.
See, that's crazy because, you know, everybody's pantry is different, and what, you know, after so many years of canning, you kind of know what works for your family. And we, like, my family goes through tomato products like crazy. Yeah, at least 150 jars of something tomatoes.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I definitely will do juice. So I don't know if you noticed here, but I'm totally out, or this jar is juice, I think. It separates a little bit. I will do more juice this year because I'm totally out of that. And the diced tomatoes I only have 1. So if I do anything, that's probably what I'll do.
Hey.
Maybe not as much pizza sauce. Oh, and this, I didn't show you. This is a barbecue sauce that I made.
Ooh.
My husband loves barbecue. So I think
that looks really good. Is it a sweet one?
Yes. Yeah,
okay.
Sweet.
That is a huge jar. What's that for?
This?
No, that one.
This one?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I had gotten dill pickles in here from the store.
Is this a gallon jar? No.
This is a half gallon.
Why does this look bigger than a half gallon? Yeah, no, this is a half gallon.
I think it is a little bigger, actually, because I have a 2-quart.
This is Velasquez Farms. Isn't that pickles?
This is, yes, that's pickles. So this is a traditional 2-quart jar.
Okay, so this is a half gallon jar. Okay, see, I knew that it looked bigger.
Yeah.
So wait, you can in this?
Well, I haven't.
Okay.
But I saved the jar for, you know, whatever reasons we save jars. And we saved the lid. So we will sometimes put milk or drinks in this.
Okay.
But if I have a lid and I need a jar, and now that I have that big canner, I totally would. And especially for something like applesauce, I would do. I'm thinking I'm going to do some applesauce in some of these bigger jars.
Yeah, and it'll last you longer too. Just, you know, having such a big family. Because I know that just a family of 4, every time I poured out a pint of applesauce, forget it. It was gone in between the 2 kids right then and there. So...
Yeah. And that's definitely like a learning curve as you start canning and as your family grows in size. If you're canning for more people, to learn, okay, when do I start doing quarts or, you know, pints or quarts or more than that. My mom, she probably had 2 or 3 dozen 2-quart jars, and we would do peaches in them.
Really?
Because we would go through a 2-quart jar in a meal. Do you ever can water?
Yes, I do.
I was just reading about that the other day, where someone was like, a way to use your empty jars when you don't have food in them is to put water in them and put them back on your shelves. So in case of emergency, you have it.
Yeah. I mean, it's just sitting there, so why not fill it with water?
Yeah.
You know?
Totally.
Okay, well, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Melissa, so much for your precious time, especially at the last minute. Thank you.
It worked out. You're welcome.
And guys, thank you once again for watching my channel. Anyway, I'll make sure I give you all the information, recipes, things like that we talked about as much as I can. And as always, take care and God bless.